fellow Berlin enthusiasts. Welcome to the GMB013 podcast. This is where I go out and chat to Berlin's coolest creators, founders, and free spirits of all those unique eco-minded projects in the capital. I do my very best to extract their stories, secrets, and passions to help you get lots and lots of inspiration of what you can do and experience in this magical city, and how we can all shake the world a little bit. Super glad to have you with me on this journey. Now, let's go green in this urban jungle. And remember, always be prepared to be amazed. Hey guys, how's it going? It's time for a fresh new episode. This time I unpack the brain of Paul Kupfer, who is the co-founder and CEO of an amazing Berlin-based social startup called soulbottles. Soulbottles is making the world's cleanest drinking bottles and is on a mission to give people all over the world access to clean drinking water and sanitation. And at the same time, they draw all our attention towards these huge amounts of plastic waste that are created every day and that are so unnecessary, right? How they do it? Well, by offering solutions. By making sustainability cool and fun and sexy, they basically create colorful designs that rock and put them on beautiful glass bottles. Bam! On top, soap bottles are 100% made in Germany and 100% free of plastic. You know, I'm very, very passionate about what these guys do because I think that clean drinking water or access to clean drinking water is a global issue that's absolutely solvable. There's no huge technology barriers or whatsoever. It's merely linked to giving access to resources. And every one of us can really help to make it happen. As for straw bottles, they're not only encouraging people to drink tap water and eliminate plastic waste, they also give €1 for each bottle sold to Viva Con Agua. It's a super cool charity that is improving the access to clean drinking water in developing countries. So it's really a win-win-win. You win because you have a cool, beautifully designed and durable drinking bottle that everyone around you will be curious about as well. Soul Bottles wins because they can sustain their business and raise awareness for a cause that they really believe in. And people in rural communities win, in this case in Nepal, because they get access to clean drinking water. To give you some numbers about that, Soulbottles has supplied 8,000 households with 40,000 people with access to clean drinking water, donating €37,000 of their profits. It's a story about social entrepreneurship, of shaping the for-purpose economy. Paul and his co-founder George built a social business completely from scratch at the age of 24. I tell you, their journey is full-on fascinating. Some of the highlights we talked about are why you don't need to be a born business crack to build a social business from scratch, how a bottle of vodka can become the basis for a brilliant social enterprise, how moments of crisis, in this case the London riots, can change your life for the better. We talked about why a just see if it works mentality can be crucial to get you started. We also talk about the meaning of the company in our current global system and why raising money for clean water is much easier than for clean toilets. You'll also learn who inspired Paul the most on his journey and the biggest challenge Soulbottles had to overcome in the last 5 years. We dive into the current global state of clean drinking water and what plastic bottle producers have in common with the tobacco industry. You'll hear about a moment that Paul is most proud of, even though he hasn't even been there himself, and what Paul does that drives everyone in his team crazy. Plus, we tell you where you should go to connect with the Berlin social startup scene and the realization that the biggest structures around us are human-made, meaning that everyone can start something that matters. If you think that's been a lot, that is by far not all. We also talked about a Kung Fu master in sales, Paul's favorite secret spot in Berlin, the weird relationship Germans have with tap water, and. You see, this interview is incredibly insightful and an absolute bump of inspiration. Ah, yes, and why are soap bottles made of glass? One reason, it tastes so much better. Remember in the old times where we still used to drink Coca-Cola? Yuck! Me and my friends always compared it, when you drank it from a plastic bottle, it was the worst. The can was already a little bit better, but there was nothing better than a glass bottle. Plus, glass is a great material that can be 100% recycled, and soul bottles are also made from around 30 to 50% of recycled glass. If you're interested in that, you can read up everything about the production and materials on their website. I drop it into the show notes. As for our interview, I rather wanted to extract those stories from Paul that you can't read up on the interwebs. Before we really start, I have another great fact about Soul Bottles. It is a certified B Corp. Actually, they've been one of the first 100 companies in Germany to join the movement. But I really gotta stop chatting now. I gotta get you into the show. But before, just a very, very quick behind the scenes of GMB Berlin, because over the last few weeks, we've been pumping all our energy into live events. We've been running a number of green guided tours through Berlin, visiting lots of exciting projects and bringing together a bunch of like-minded people. It really fills me with so much joy to build those connections. There's always people from all different backgrounds, and we all learn together about the eco-minded projects in the city. We meet the people who run them and see how sustainability can link to so much passion and positive vibes. So in the next months, we put up many more tours and routes on the website at GMB013.com/tours. And if you want to be part of one of our next tours, definitely keep an eye on Facebook for the public ones, or simply shoot me an email to tours@GMB013.com, and we're super happy to create your very own customized experience. Exciting times ahead, guys! Now, I made you wait more than long enough. Please meet Paul Kupfer of Soul Bottles. Hey Paul, super excited to have you on the show today. You guys rock the social business world in Berlin, and I'm sure your values and work is inspiring many, many people out there. Not only that, Soul Bottles is really changing lives out there. I've been a huge fan of Soul Bottles pretty much since the beginning, I guess. I think I first spotted bottles at Love Echo, which happens to be one of my favorite eco-fashion stores in the city, actually. And I was instantly falling for your products. Finally, a startup that makes sustainability cool and sexy and fun. And then later I've seen your co-founder, actually, Georg, on stage at the DNX conference, an event that's aimed at people who question the status quo and who want to start their own business and work from anywhere. And Georg's talk about Soul Bottles really stood out. And I think it shifted the mindset of many people at a conference from just do what you love to also do something that matters and has a social positive impact. Now I get the chance to chat to you, which is awesome. And I'm really curious to dive into the story behind Soul Bottles and really encourage the people out there that sustainability can be sexy and fun and also earn you a living. And you just celebrated 5 years of Soul Bottles last weekend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a huge journey. Speaking of the journey, I want to travel right to the beginning of this journey. What was that big game changer in your life that triggered you to start Soul Bottles? Was there like a pivotal moment or?
Yeah, so first, thanks for all the praise. It feels good to start an interview with a minute of just hearing how great one's achievements are. And thank you for the interview. A big game changer. I've been asked that a few times already, and it's really difficult for me to think of a certain moment. And I often, when I think about what I am doing, or also what we are doing at Soul Bottles, I don't think of it of being so like special, that I needed like this special moment that changed everything, because I really more or less kept doing what I was always doing. At least this is how it feels to me. I know that there are, if I have to break it down to a certain event, I think there were two incidents that I had just before we started the company. And one of that was an internship that I had, where I just thought, this internship was at a design company in London. And I just had that feeling of, wow, this is how a company could be run, because it was so chaotic in my mind, and it was so unprofessional in a lot of ways, I have to admit. At least that's what I felt at that moment. And it's not meant to be like anything mean, because I totally get why it was that way. Because it was just a woman who started it. She was coming right out of college, and basically it was just her. And she worked with freelancers on each project. She just gathered the freelancer that she need. But for the outside, like if you had a look at her website or you spoke with her on the phone, it felt like a real company. And I was like doing the internship. I was the only one who was always there. I was the only permanent member of staff. And I had this feeling of, you know what? Founding a company is really easy. Like it's if they can do it, if this looks so professional, you know, this is like a kind of this magic boundary kind of program. It was like a look behind the scenes where I really got this feeling of, oh, okay, this is really doable. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have any clue about it. You can do it. And so it's really funny that this kind of changed a lot in my mood of like being an entrepreneur or like starting a business. That was one of the key moments. But for my general tendency of what I want to do with my life, I mean, I grew up I was born in '88. Both of my parents are founding members of the Green Parties Green Party in Germany.
Interesting.
So I think I grew up with a pretty green and eco-friendly lifestyle or mindset.
Is there like one major thing that really gets stuck in your head that your parents always passed on to you in terms of being green?
Both critics of nuclear power. There was a very strong argument, obviously, for the Green Party in the beginning, but also driving and using the bicycle. In general, at least for my mother, of having female in upper positions in companies. Those were kind of the things that I think that. And so for me, it really felt logical to do something that was okay
matters.
With my values.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And nothing like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a hippie now. I think I always was that.
Yeah, that's awesome. The moment that you just described is like so great, because actually a lot of amazing like social startups or like great inspiring companies, as at least as I am aware of, actually have started like that or are run like this. I just recently finished the audiobook of the Tom's founder, Blake Markowski, Start Something That Matters, and it's basically kind of a bit similar. It's like this whole fake it till you make it, and then it can just run, and like so many people just think, oh no, I can never do this, but actually everything's possible. And I love that you're actually confirming that. And then I mean, Georg and you, like, you founded soulbottles together. How did that happen? Like I don't know, how did you come up with the idea?
I was studying in Vienna. I was studying communication science. And George was officially studying French, but he never really went to university. And we actually met at a job that we both had. We were both waiters at a very at the Hofburg in Wien, which is very posh and established with a lot of gold in the decorations. And we worked there this one night, and there's where we met. And I think we just became friends afterwards. Like I remember, like when I was looking for a new flat, I think I crashed on his couch for a month or something like that. So we just became really good friends. And he approached me with this idea of, oh, maybe we can print on drinking bottles, so that more people would use them, and more people would use tap water instead of buying plastic bottles. And I know that I like started to use a glass bottle, like just like an old vodka bottle and old wine bottles, and he did too, and just to test like if it really makes a difference, and it made a difference. I was like, oh yeah, this actually tastes a lot better and feels a lot better. But people look at you funny, right? If you drink like out of a vodka bottle at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I love that.
And so he said, we could maybe do that, but at the same time he was like wrapped up in so many different projects. He was just trying to be self-employed as a trainer for nonviolent communication, and I was also working, like not only as a waiter, I had a second job too, and I was studying. So I never really got the feeling, okay, we should tackle this. And then at this internship that I just mentioned, it was 2011, and so it was the London riots in this year, just in the summer, and they you know, there were a lot of like arson and burning of houses and so on, and cars, and they burned one Subway sandwich shop, and just on top of that shop there was my boss's apartment, where we had everything, like all the material.
Wow.
We were doing a lot of video editing, video filming and everything like that. So everything was gone, and my internship just like ended abruptly. So I was basically sitting in London, and George was visiting me for I think a week or something, and he wanted to travel in the UK. And so I was sitting there, and he approached me one more time with the idea, like, maybe we could do this. And then just a lot of things got together for me, at least, because I had this feeling of, okay, you could really start your own company. It's not that difficult. I just saw that. I also have a lot of time right now because my internship abruptly ended, which I did not expect. And I had all this graphic software on my computer because I was doing the graphic design at the internship.
Right.
So these three things come together, and I was like, I didn't have any more excuses, like to say, I have no time, I don't want to. But I was like, you know what? Actually, I have time. Actually, I have time to do this because I don't know anybody in London. I have this computer sitting around, so I actually tried. And for me, this was the beginning, which was approximately like a year before the real company was founded. Mm-hmm. But in the beginning, it was really just a little student project. Mm-hmm. I mean, I moved back to Vienna. I kind of figured out how to print on glass yourself, which is kind of difficult. But
how did you do that?
Well, I went to the University of Arts, where I was not studying, but they didn't really care. And I talked to a guy who was normally working with ceramics. And he was just a great guy. He was like, I think already 60 years old. But he was so open, it was really difficult to understand him because he was from Burgenland. It's like a part of Austria where they have a very strong dialect. And so I was always trying to listen and understand, but he was basically screen printing on paper and then cutting out the designs and then sticking them with water on the bottle. And then you burn them like in a ceramic oven, like around 600 degrees. And then the paper basically just burns away. And the color goes into the glass.
Wow.
And it's a lot of work to do that. But in the beginning, I was maybe like doing like 30 or 40 bottles, I think, which is not a lot. You had to go home, stick them on. There's a funny photo of me and George doing that. And like we stick these foils or these papers on the bottles, then drove them back with I didn't even have a car. So I had a bicycle with a little cart behind it. And was cycling with that to the university, filling up the oven and then burn them in. And so we had like, I think 40 or 50. And that was the Christmas of 2011. And we just presented them. And I remember I had them all up on my shelf, like in my room. And I was living in a big flat, I think with 10 people.
Wow.
So we had a lot of parties and sit-ins and like people coming over to have a drink. And so every time somebody saw them, said, "Oh, those look really nice. Can I have one?" And they just in the beginning, I just gave them away. I didn't even charge. And then they were all gone. And then people started calling, saying, "Hey, remember you gave so and so a bottle? Is it possible to get one? I would also pay, you know." And I said, "Oh, well, this actually could be a business." And for I think half a year, this was really something that I did. I was producing bottles by myself with this bicycle, and you know what? I had to go down the hill to get to the university, but then up the hill to go back to my house. Yeah. It was really hard to do that with like 50 or 100 bottles in that little cart, and I didn't even have a transportation box. I just remember sitting there trying to figure out what kind of box I have to build so I can, because you have to move these bottles with the stickers on, without them scratching and everything. And it's so, like in the beginning, like thinking about it now, I can't imagine that somebody would really invest in such a weird team of two students with a bicycle. But they did. Like we got to over a friend who was looking for bottles, actually for drinking bottles for his kids. Got to know me and George, and he thought like, oh, let's do this into a proper business. And this was our angel investment. Yes.
Amazing. Really, I love every bit of that story. It just shows like so much. Just first of all, I think it happens to many entrepreneurs that they're like at some point where you were when the internship didn't exist anymore, and like, okay, there's nothing left. So you kind of hit a bit the rock bottom, and then you get super creative, and this is your chance. So this is actually why I love when you get out of your comfort zone and you're not always in this safety net, because everything is just possible. I really, really love that. Awesome. What would you say is the major why behind soul bottles? I mean, of course, you want that people drink tap water and not from plastic bottles, but like just why are you doing what you're doing?
I think the why changed a little bit in the time, because like in the beginning I was more of a guy of like, okay, I want to try this out if this could really work. And then the product just felt like, okay, this is something logical, like something that I do not destroy the planet anymore, which was already okay with me. Like this was, I didn't have that high standard. George was a bit different. He was like really looking for, okay, I want to be a social entrepreneur. This is really what I believe changes the culture enough to make a big change. And for me, it was in the beginning more like, okay, I just want to see if it works.
Yeah.
And but then that moment where we got angel investment and we dedicated and said, okay, let's say we're gonna do this at least for 5 years, like for real now, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And because this was a strong moment for me, right, to give this commitment. And that moment, something changed for me. That like the way was changed from, okay, I just want to see if this works, even though this is still a part of me. Also, what we're doing right now with all our nonviolent communication and holacracy and how we build the company is also still a part of me that is just experimenting and thinking, okay, let's see if this could work. But for me, it changed in so far that I got, I think, closer to what George's vision was, that the power of a company just in our economic system that we're living in is so strong, so much stronger in my mind than NGOs or political initiatives.
Yeah.
That I really think, okay, you need this part of our society, the company, the for-profit part of our society really needs to change. And I do know that this is not the only thing that has to change, and that we won't save the world just because, I don't know, we all eat vegan butter now or something like that. Because that's often also people like tell us, well, this is not really solving the problem, but I think it's really a important part of solving the problem.
Definitely.
And this is what kept me running.
Yeah.
And I also say why, because I think, and this is written down in our like constitution or in our vision, if you want, for soul bottles, like why do we do this? And our main purpose is we want to, on the one hand side, of course, save plastic waste, want to motivate more people to act more sustainable. We want to give more people access to clean drinking water, because that's really a huge problem for almost 1 million people, like who don't have access.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well in a bit.
And at the same time, also see how can you use the profits that you make to start other projects that help this change.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Like it's something that I really like. It really keeps me busy at the moment, this whole social business versus non-profit, and like all the talks and discussions that sustainable businesses or projects with a social cause should not make money. But then on the other hand, they either stay in their beta version forever, or people burn out because they're making everything kind of for free. They're sacrificing a lot. And I don't think we're in this stage anymore. We're at the moment where people are ready to pay money for a clean, ethical product, basically. And I think this is also the way how it can actually really make a difference, how it can really spread and grow. So I think, I guess that's one point that you agree with, or how do you see that split? Like, do you sometimes get criticized because you're making money with it, or? Yes,
not often. I think most people can see that this is not the main focus, but no, of course. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know, greenwashing. Like if you talk to a company like Nestle, which is like selling a lot of bottled water. I mean, these guys win prizes, sustainability prizes, because they reduce the weight of the plastic bottle. Where you think like, yeah, but the whole concept of bottling this water is kind of non-sustainable.
Yeah, and they do a lot of other really bad things.
But this is like, so I can see that people are also like kind of fed up with this argument of sustainability, because every company uses it. Even, I don't know, Nespresso or Coca-Cola, like everyone is using that. And so maybe it's sometimes difficult to see the difference. But to have a company like ours, and we're in a very lucky situation, I do know that, because we started with a kind of low investment, and we we bought out our investors very early in our history. So
you
the
did?
company is
That's
right
awesome.
now only owned by me and George. And we're transferring it to a version where it's only owned by all the people who work here. So
Wow.
it cannot be bought and people cannot skip off the profits.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that this is very like a rare case that you have this. But for me to have a for-profit, like on paper, a for-profit with a clear purpose, and that clear purpose is not just maximize profits, but motivate more people, make fundraising for drinking water projects, all this. I think this is a huge change, and like not I know that our part and contribution is maybe not the biggest, but I think it's an example for other companies to do similar things.
Totally. I mean, it's like I'm such a strong believer in like really everything you do that matters. Like every little step. Of course, you cannot change the whole world like with one thing. But as long as you find your way and you make your contribution, and it's not just, of course, that you're selling those bottles and people consume less plastic and so on, but it's also creating a huge awareness, I guess, for all the problems or the issues that are connected to it. Really, I mean, what you created there is huge. Did you have some kind of mentor or like a special person or another social entrepreneur that helped or inspired you on your way?
I remember that in the beginning of obviously our angel investor, he was kind of kicking our asses a little bit in the way of, okay, you have to stop thinking of it as a student's project, but start calling it a company and really act upon it. I remember that I started like emails, okay, hello, my name is Paul, I'm co-founder of soulbottles, we are a young startup, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you're right. Hi, this is soulbottles company. Bam. This is like, they don't care who you are and they don't care if this is a young company. Young company just sounds like we don't have money. You don't want them to, like, in these little things. And he pushed us strongly, I think. I mean, in the end, there were also like too many differences in our approach, why we're doing this and how we wanted to do it. But yeah, this was a strong mentor in the beginning.
I guess it really helped to kind of get you a bit into this direction.
And I think a lot also me and George just for each other.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of things we are very, very different.
That's good. Yeah.
And so I think if I think of like the person who challenged me the most to personally growth, it's definitely George. And awesome. I know, at least from like when we talked, that I had a similar impact on him also. Like that I also forced him to rethink things.
Nice. Are you also, I mean, how important is it for you and your team to have fun, but also at the same time spread kind of this vibe and the message out to the world that you...
I think we call it like a value fit. That we think, okay, do the people share the values of us or of the company as a whole? This is one of the strongest criteria for our hiring process.
Right.
That we really need people to like share this idea of what we want to achieve here. So yeah, a lot of people already bring a lot of that with them, and then it's normally like the fine-tuning or also the conflicts lie then in, okay, how do we reach this? How do we reach a more sustainable world? Because you also see that we have obviously a lot of touching ground with the normal world in quotation marks, and that obviously forces us to we have to take money for a product, we have to pay rent, all these things, and so you have to make compromises a lot. So it normally, so like just because people share your values doesn't mean that you agree on everything. But this is a strong thing that we do in our hiring process, and like when we choose who we want to work with. Sure.
And you said, George and you were kind of inspiration for each other. Do you also does it happen that you have people in your team that really like inspire you and push you further, or is it more like the other way around, that you see yourself as a role, like that you should inspire them? Or
no, I think it's a mutual process. Obviously it's with some people more than with others. I remember we had like I think at least 5 or almost maybe 10 people in this company are older than me. And for example, the one who's doing like a lot of finance and accounting, controlling, he's very inspiring for me because he he really studied something and he worked in a bank, he really was all the way over there, and then now he's here, and he founded his own eco startup before he joined Soul Bottles too. So now he had brought just like at least 7 years of more experience in the field than, and I'm still looking up to him in a lot of ways. And
that's great.
This is very inspiring for me. And we have somebody else who's doing sales here, who's a Kung Fu master. So he's doing Kung Fu, I think, for 15 years now, and doing like a lot of Qigong and meditation. He's also very inspiring, just in like the pure calmness that he has, and like how he approaches his whole life. And like you sometimes see him do Kung Fu out on a balcony in the sun in the morning, and. Yeah, no, this is a mutual process. It also takes a lot of pressure from the founder.
Sure. Awesome. Sounds like something really, really nice, beautiful, integral that you created there. That's huge. All right, switching back a little bit to Soul Bottles as such, and also the purpose and the impact that you have. With every soul bottle you sell, you're giving away €1 to Viva Con Agua, which is a very cool charity that is also trying to improve the supply of clean drinking water in developing countries. Can you take us a bit deeper here? What is kind of the current state in the world behind like the drinking water? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Or like what are the most pressing problems, especially in the developing world?
Yeah, so the number of people, I think if you look over the process of the last 10 years, is actually declining, so that's a good thing. But it's still very high, and too high. Obviously, every person who has not access to clean drinking water is one too many. This is the one thing. And the projects that we support right now, we support a project in Nepal. But Viva Con Agua has also projects in Rwanda and Uganda, and there are, for example, regions that are also heavily affected by climate change. So these numbers that are decreasing right now can also be increasing again, because we're like when the United States dropped out of the Paris climate agreement, and so I mean this is not 100% certain that this progress will stay the same. And what we do, we support projects that are conducted mainly by the Welthungerhilfe, which is an even bigger NGO. Why do we do that? Because I think, at least right now, where I am with my knowledge, is it makes sense to like centralize at least your funds in a certain way. Not entirely, but like we thought a lot about like founding our own NGO, and then we decided against it and said no. We are going to look for one that we think does a good job, and then we're going to support them.
All right.
Which makes sense because you can't also like do everything at the same time.
No, that's true.
And then in the areas where you like to help, you have to work with like local NGOs anyway, which is a difficult process on its own already. The projects that we do are called WASH, and this stands for water and then sanitation and hygiene. Because raising money for clean drinking water, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of easy. You have, a fountain and there's clean water coming out, and then you see kids and they drink water and everybody's so happy. The big problem is really also sanitation. But sanitation means people like go to the toilet, and that doesn't look nice on posters. But it's really a huge problem that almost always goes together.
True, yeah.
And a lack of hygiene too. So we think it's important that we say we raise money for drinking water, but we also actually raise it for sanitation things. Because I think this is one of the topics that doesn't get as much attention, because it's more difficult to promote and make look nice. Yeah. But those are the projects, so those are normally go together, so it's not only building fountains, but also building toilets, also educating the people on washing hands and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's great. That's like a proof how you can even like further your impact more than just, okay, you make this product and there's this one side. I just love the holistic approach behind you guys. That's really, really inspiring. About the tap water, tap water. I mean, you're German, I'm German, and strangely, in our country, tap water has been frowned upon like for such a long time.
Yeah.
It still is, but it's getting better. But I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, here where the water is so clean, you quite often go to restaurants and they used to refuse you tap water. Or I also know from my family, like no one really drank tap water until a little while ago. Why do you think is that? Why? I mean, I don't know. Do you have an idea?
It's especially funny if you like me studied in Austria for a time where they are very proud of their water. In Switzerland, it's similar because they have the Alps and they know the water quality. And why is that? Well, I think basically in the 70s, mineral water as a thing was invented, and then I think they always put Perrier as the French brand as like the most the most successful one probably. Yeah, but they both basically they ran campaigns. They ran ad campaigns to promote their product and said, okay, look, the tap water is actually not of a good quality, and it kind of worked. It is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So at the same time, I think right now, I think more people like start to realize it and choose to act differently. At the same time, we had the problem that we also didn't take care of our water enough, I think, especially with fertilizers, especially with the way that we treat our agriculture in general. So this has an effect on our water, and we also privatized parts of our water, which is also very difficult, because privatization of water, at least in Central Europe, almost always had the same effect. There was higher prices and lower quality, which makes sense if you want to make money with it. It doesn't make sense if you want to like provide the best service.
Yeah. True.
And so I think these things combined led today to even more doubts about tap water, which I can totally understand, because it's kind of similar to this greenwashing. If everybody says, okay, there's something wrong, there's something green about their product, then you can't really tell the difference. And with tap water, it's kind of the same, that you think, okay, so maybe, I don't know, buying water in plastic bottles at the supermarket is not sustainable. But then again, I also heard, I don't know, something about tap water not being so super clean like it used to be, which is probably also true.
Yeah.
And so it's like difficult to say, okay, which alternative is now the better one.
Yeah.
And for me, this decision is very easy, because the one gets like bottled and transported a lot, which makes it ridiculously more expensive in the production, but also like in the CO2 emissions, in the waste of resources for the packaging. And
I guess also from the plastic, isn't it that from the plastic bottle there's also some kind of particles or some toxins or whatever that kind of
this is at
get
least
into
like
it? I mean,
this is talked about, and there have been like a lot of there was a big outrage when they discovered BPA, and then everybody said, oh no, we replaced the materials with other materials, which you kind of always say. But sometimes I feel like this whole talk and the whole argument about plastic is very similar to the talk about tobacco just a few decades earlier. And maybe, I don't know, in 50 years, people will look back and think like, oh, look, they really use plastic to put their water in. Are they crazy?
That would be awesome.
Like, didn't they know that was like... And you have to see, I mean, they at least in the EU, at a certain point, they forbid BPA in small bottles that were used for babies, right? For milk, for really young children. And I think you have to imagine, like, really, this is forbidden? But only for, like, I don't know, kids younger than 3 years old.
But not for me.
Yeah, but not for me. So, and then at the same time, there's so many, like, things in plastics that we do not know.
I know,
and
it's
that aren't
crazy.
discovered yet. So I wouldn't go so far, because I don't like to, like, make people more afraid and preach and tell, like, no, this is not good. No, I will say, there is scientific research, and it can be problematic, but for me the argument alone of like bottling something and transporting it, and money wise too, like it is just more expensive, makes enough sense to not drink tap water, to not drink mineral water out of bottles.
Yeah,
and
totally.
like even if you do not trust your local tap water provider, I think it's more safe to filter your water at home if you want that.
Exactly.
And if you really love sparkling water, then it really makes sense to sparkle it at home. Everything makes more sense than like buy a new bottle, like a new plastic bottle each time.
And buying, exactly. I mean, you also save heaps of money. I mean, maybe, of course, first you have to get a drink bottle, and then, of course, maybe you want to get a water filter. But still, like, if you just calculate it on the long run, it just makes so much sense in so many ways. And I think also a lot of bottled water, there's actually like a part of there's actually part tap water in it already.
Yeah,
right?
there were like the two big brands that both did it was I think the one from Pepsi in the United States that was though. They were just basically filling up tap water. That's also the case.
Now maybe you guys should come up with like a soulbottles water filter or so to complement the product or so.
We do sell filters on our web shop. The ones that we think are the best, which is one which works with ceramics and coal, and one that only works with coal. I think filters are a kind of a high-tech product, and you can't just like set that up and build it easily. And I think there's a lot of like really good companies that build very good filters. Here in Germany, for example, Carbonit, which is really like also on the global market, a very famous company for very high technology, but also in the UK, for example, are really good filter companies. And I think, this was already done pretty good, so I don't want to do it.
Sure, makes sense, makes total sense. Why do you think that, I mean, your model and your product as such had such a huge success out there? I mean, what's the secret ingredient? What is it that gets people really excited about it?
I think it's not only one thing, but the designs definitely helped. I think most drinking bottles have no designs or just the brand logo on it. Yeah. And from the beginning on, I think the first soul bottles didn't even have a logo. But they had the design.
The design, yeah.
I remember there was just friends of us who could like draw or design stuff, and this was the main thing. I mean, that's the reason why people buy T-shirts, I think, because it rocks, because it looks cool and it's colorful and happy and And I think that just makes that motivates a lot. And we still do this design competitions. We just had one for our 5th anniversary, where people could submit a design, and then there was an online voting, and that was incredible. We had over 200 submissions, 200 designs that people want to have put on a bottle. And then in the voting process we had almost 100,000. We had 99,000 votes on our website who wanted to choose a design.
Amazing.
And it's amazing. It's you see that this is a huge part, and it's also like
you get people engaged with your brand as well for that, right? Yeah. And they can contribute something.
Yeah, not only engage with our brand, but also engage with the whole issue. Yeah, I think this is the main thing that we want. Like, okay, so people have to think about tap water. They at least have to think about it when they go on our website.
True, that's awesome. Looking back at those past 5 years, what would you say was the biggest challenge you had to overcome?
Oof, so many. There were a lot of little, now I call them little dramas, but at the time they didn't feel little at all. I remember that like the first producer who's already said they were going to print all our bottles. This was an order of, I think, 20,000 pieces, which at that time was huge for us. And they basically just canceled like a day before, like things like that. Or we had one whole production that was just like had a huge error in it, and we couldn't use them, and we thought the world would end. So those were like a lot of issues with the production. Even though it sounds like such an easy product, there's still so much that can go wrong. But I think in the biggest challenges, like if I have to make a choice, would more be stop working together with our first investor, our angel investor, because there was kind of a clash of ideas, of visions, of how you want to run an organization. And the difference was that because me and George, I mean, I'm 29 now, and at that time I was
crazy, so young.
I was basically just out of university.
Yeah.
Like it was 2 years. I was like maybe 25 or something, and I really had no idea. And he was like almost double my age. He was really the age of being my father. And there was a moment to really like, okay, you have to stick up for what you believe in and put your feet down, and at the same time, like, don't be an asshole. Like, still respect the other person for all of that he's done, all that you are grateful for, but still believe in yourself that this is the right thing you want to do. I think that was one of the biggest challenges that I ever had.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And what was the biggest, or what is an achievement that you're most proud of?
I remember that last year there was a travel to Nepal to the project, which I didn't attend, by the way. We had two people could go, and everyone said like, oh, so it's probably you and George, right? And then we said, no, we're gonna pull draws.
Yeah.
Like, one of the founders has to go and one of the team has to go, and I didn't get it. So I never went there. Yeah, it's okay. I'm visiting other projects this year in Rwanda.
Super nice that you did that there, that you gave like one of the team a chance. That's amazing. Your time will come, I'm sure.
Yeah. But when I saw the photos of like, okay, this is a village that basically now has a water and sanitation system, and that this really, like, you see the photos and you see like the videos, and George obviously talked a lot about it, told me a lot of what he saw. This was a huge moment for me, and at the same time, I don't know, I have so many little moments of joy. Like, for example, I love answering the phone here. Like, everybody hates it because it always interrupts, and I shouldn't be doing it because it also interrupts me and it's not productive. Blah blah blah. But I just love like when people that I don't know talk about soulbottles and just I don't know. So we ordered them and then this and this and I don't know. And like to hear people care so much, like that's just it's so cool. I think it's like, I don't know, maybe like when you're in a band or something and you hear your own song on the radio, and it's just like the moment, yeah, this is really real, this is happening, and people I don't know talk about it, and it's like so.
That's amazing.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah,
And little moments. I had like one customer call and she said like, yeah, so I bought a soul bottle. I bought it for my boyfriend because he didn't drink enough water, and like I think it's really not good for him. He starts to get headaches. I think it's really, so I got him the bottle and now he really drinks it a lot, and it was so great. She just kept on rambling.
Wow.
I was like, this is so funny.
You really share like the super personal stories with you.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's amazing. That's so huge. Like you really kind of created a whole movement around it. Actually, it's so nice. Cool. I mean, let's talk about Berlin a little bit, and let's switch gears just one more time. Is starting a social startup in Berlin a curse or a blessing? I mean, like, what's good about it, or what's maybe a pitfall? If there's.
It's funny that you said like starting a social business in Berlin, because for me we started the company in Vienna.
Right.
Because
true.
that was where
right.
we did these things, and then we moved to Berlin kind of in 2 steps. So it's easier to found a GmbH, which is like I think a limited maybe. In Germany, at least at that time, you just need less money. So we had to have a German seat, so to say, even though we were both living in Vienna. And then George also wanted to move to Berlin out of personal reasons, just wanted to see the city. But the whole like soulbottles movement, the production, and also the first customers and so on were all in Vienna. And then we thought about, okay, let's maybe move everything to Berlin, which was kind of difficult because the production was in Vienna.
True.
And also my whole life, I had a girlfriend, I had a music band where I was playing with, I had this huge flat that I told you about. So it was really difficult decision for me to leave all this behind and move back to Berlin, where I'm from. So I kind of felt like going home again, like, oh, this is where my parents live and all that. But then and so the really lame almost argument that was really strong for us in the beginning was just the shipping costs, because we had so many customers from Germany. It was so expensive to ship from Austria to Germany. So I said, okay, well, let's see it. And then there were a few like more changes in my life. Like my girlfriend moved to Granada to Spain, so I had said, okay, if I have to have a long long distance relationship anyway. I can also do that at least for half a year from Berlin.
Right.
And then we had this crowdfunding campaign in Berlin, like when we were already in Berlin. And it was so successful, and the moment it was just like starting to get clear. Okay, we have to hire people. We have to. This thing is like this. The stone just started rolling. We have to do it now. And as time passed by, I just saw all the advantages of Berlin that I before that didn't even see. Even though I grew up here, and I was like,
what are they?
Oh, this is first of all the rents, obviously, like the rent for for businesses, but also like for private flats is so much cheaper still, I think, here than in Vienna. But then also like just a huge amount of creative and talented and motivated people who come here. I mean, I remember when we had the first job offering, I think it just said marketing, and we had like 50 people applying. It's like, you do know that you will not earn a lot, right? This is like, I don't know how much did they earn in the beginning, like 1,500 or something like that, brutto, and they just like they didn't care. They just want to do it, and they were so and you saw these CVs like of people who had like work experience for years and years, and no, this is a huge advantage.
Amazing.
And obviously, you have the disadvantage if you want that you are like one of many companies also. But I never felt like that. Like I always felt like there's so much going on. There's enough room for you to grow.
That's so true. I think that too. And I mean, I guess also what you just said, like the community in terms of that there is a community of eco-minded people, eco-minded businesses, social businesses that you can connect to and exchange. I guess that's probably helping a lot.
Yeah, and just in general living costs. I mean, it's not only rent, but also like general living costs are. And this doesn't only mean living, but also like having a great life. Like I don't know, having a great social life and be able to go out or see a concert or something like that.
So now
this is possible for people to have here, and so this is like a very startup friendly environment, and I think Berlin often like underestimates this factor.
True. So now you basically fell in love again with your home city and feel stronger connected.
No, I'm from Berlin, and I think this is kind of part of me that I kind of always kind of hate it. It's I just see all these things that are not good, and my father is working at city planning in Natzverwaltung.
Wow.
And so he knows a lot about what are the big projects in Berlin, and I don't know, it's almost impossible for me to see a street or see a district and not being like, oh yeah, this is not, No, but obviously I also love it. I also love it in lots of ways.
What's your favorite spot? Like where would you go in Berlin if you want to be creative and have some new ideas or some headspace or whatever? I have a few favorite spots. There's one which is really weird. It's in Spandau, which is really a lot far away from where I grew up. I grew up in Rudow, which is basically the other end of the U7. Yeah.
But there is one spot in Spandau where they have there's a lake, a really nice lake. It's really small, and they build a climbing rock just next to it, and so you can climb and go swimming in the summer at the same time, which kind of feels like this is one of the things that you normally, I don't know, you have to go to Barcelona or to Granada for something like that. But you can actually do it, I mean, on a very small level, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's so, because it's so far out, it's not visited a lot. It's like it's really empty. It's like this weird empty feeling. It's awesome. one of my favorite spots.
Awesome. All right. And if people want to learn or connect with like the social business scene or the green scene in Berlin, like what are the places or events or networks that you strongly recommend them to go to?
I mean, the Impact Lab has definitely a cool scholarship program where you can apply and then you just have that workspace. But they obviously also meet people. So this is the great thing. We also applied for the scholarship and we got it. We were not really using it, but that's a different story. But this is I think a great institution. The Impact Hub, I think, doesn't have that kind of scholarship, but it's still a nice co-working space for green initiatives, and it's always a great atmosphere if you're there. And I think it's called Sense Camp, something like that. I think it's a French organization. They also have these gatherings where they kind of have they team up together to solve problems, and it's also a cool environment. I think these three are just the ones that pop in my head right now.
All right, cool. Thanks for sharing that. And I mean, before we dive into the final section, I don't want to stretch your time for that much longer, but where can people best buy Soul Bottles?
Where can people buy Soul Bottles?
Everywhere.
They can everywhere. No, they can obviously can buy on our website, soulbottles.com. The advantage there is that you can choose every design, and you can choose the colors of the swing top and everything. You can customize.
You also make
bottle.
custom bottles for companies, right? Like if they want to have
you
their brand
can't order them from stock. Obviously,
No.
they get produced, but we also do that. That starts at like 10 pieces if you want to this laser engraving that we do right here in Berlin.
Nice.
And then if you just if you want to hold the bottle first and see it, then you can also go on our website, and in the left corner up there is I think a retail search.
All right,
and you just see the shops, and I think we have in Germany now we reached the 500 mark, so we have 500 selling points in Germany.
Nice. Yeah, I put the link into the show notes so people can find it easily. Now, final section. Looking back to those 5 last years, what was your biggest learning so far?
My biggest learning, I think, is that all these structures around us are human-made, at least a lot of them. And then there's a really stupid German saying die kochen auch nur mit Wasser, which is they also just boil their food with water, or cook their food with boiling water. And this is really don't overestimate things that you don't know a lot about, because almost always if you have a closer look, you see it's not that difficult. And I don't know, I hardly met anybody from any organization, company or whatever, and they just oh yeah, they are really organized there. They're really structured, No, everybody always says, no, this is just a chaotic, I don't know how they can survive. I don't know how, and this doesn't matter if you go, I don't talk about somebody from Siemens or VW or a really small NGO. Everybody always keeps saying the same story.
Right.
And so I think you always overestimate things that you don't know a lot about, and you really think, this is too complicated, or this is too powerful, or this is too... No, it's not. It's really, it's just a bunch of chaotic people running around normally.
That's a really good one. I love that. I really, really love that. It's it happens a lot of times now that people just write to me and it's hey, team at Green Berlin, or I don't know, how are you? Of course I know you guys, and blah blah, and how is this all going? Not knowing that it's actually just me. And I think it's a great learning. Second question of the last part: if you could change one thing in Berlin or in the world within the next 24 hours, what would it be?
If I could change just one thing,
I
don't know, maybe the production of firearms would be impossible, because firearms really just contribute to a lot of killing, I think, and don't really help us to solve our problems without violence.
True. Strong one. All right. Then what question should I have asked you but didn't?
You didn't ask us how many bottles we sold. That's normally a question that we get a lot.
Right. Then what's the answer?
The answer would be that last year it was 110,000, and in total we reached already over 300,000.
Wow. That's huge. That's a number you can be super, super proud of. All right. Then last question. If there was one thing you could pass on to the Green Berlin community, to the people out there, what would it be?
Yeah, please go voting on Saturday if it's coming out before that.
Unfortunately not.
If it's not going out afterwards, there's always room to do something. And if you're even if you, I don't know, stuck in a normal job in quotations marks, there's always some way to contribute and to find something. And it's really about doing these first steps, I think. Even if they sound silly in the beginning. Like there is no silly stuff. Like I don't know how your podcast started, but I remember that I was thinking about producing a podcast myself. Like if you ever have something like that in your mind, you know what? Just do one. Just do one and listen to it, like at least once. And this applies for everything. Just try to do it. Yeah, and don't think about it like it has to be perfect before it goes out, because it won't be perfect anymore.
Oh, yes. I can totally sign all these bits. Just do it. Don't overthink things too much. Like really every little thing has an impact if everyone would just step out a little bit more of their comfort zones and just doing things without thinking what do other people think of me because I'm doing that or so on. Like you touched really on that human factor as well in us. So that's absolutely a great message to share and a powerful thought to finish. Paul, I'm incredibly grateful that you guys exist. You're really a huge inspiration for me and really prove that you can change the world for the better while building up a thriving business. And it makes me feel really excited and full of hope that Berlin is home to such dedicated social entrepreneurs like you. I mean, people who just go out there and make things happen, as we just said, and have heaps of fun along the way. And I'm hoping that lots and lots of people out there get encouraged and inspired from the things you do. And thanks so much for your time and for sharing all your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Boy, oh boy, what an amazing guy. So much integrity, so much drive. Hope you got heaps of inspiration out of that. Remember what Paul said? It's often just a bunch of chaotic people running around, and they're changing the world. So you can do it too. Keep soul bottles in mind, Christmas is coming soon, and you heard it. You can even put your very own logo or design on it. You can find a link to their website, their online shop, and the stores that they sell in the show notes. They actually really ship globally and are available in selected stores in 16 countries in Europe, plus the US, Canada, and even Australia and New Zealand. Now, do you live in a city or country where there's no store selling soul bottles yet? Then just drop Paul and his team a line or encourage your favorite store to get in touch. Final shout out from my side. I need you guys to help me spreading the word. So if you like this episode, then share it with your friends and leave me a super short review on iTunes. Any feedback really means a lot to me. And it's not just a saying. It helps me also to make the show and its messages get out to more people. So can I count on your support? That would be awesome. And don't forget, if you want to stay up to date with the latest interviews, green events, tours, and our explorations in the Berlin green scene, then sign up for our monthly newsletter. We got a little thank you if you do so. We send you our best of guide to 7 awesome eco-minded places in Berlin for free. To get it, just go over to greenlyberlin.com/newsletter. That's it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Next episode will come out again at last Friday of the month, so stay tuned and have a blast while going green.